Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Wrap Up, where the Toronto Raptors lost 131 to 129 against the Brooklyn Nets in what could be deemed, what people have deemed the COVID ball. Um, you know, the Nets only had 8 or 9 players available. They had a lot of guys go into health and safety today, which leads you to speculate that maybe the Raptors shouldn't have played a team that went into health and safety today, but nonetheless, the game went on. We will get to that actually more at the end of the show, maybe talk about what's happening in the NBA right now in regards to COVID and if there's going to be a break. But yeah, the Raptors blow a pretty ugly lead. I got Kyle and Adon to me. Adon, I want to ask you first because it felt like, the Raptors had a 10-point lead pretty late in the fourth quarter. They blow it and then they lose in overtime. The execution was really bad on both ends of the floor, obviously, but which end of the floor to you was of more concern in the last 5 minutes and then in overtime? Was it the offensive choices or was it the defense?
I actually think our defense towards the end was pretty strong. Obviously, I mean, if you want to separate out the rebounding, because that just
No, but that's part of it. That's part of the defense.
I mean, it is and it isn't because first of all, we made Durant work his tail off, and like Durant had a good game, but we made him earn it, and we had our closeouts like kind of down packed towards the end there, and then those defensive rebounds are hard to get, especially off the weak side when you have like Fred VanVleet in the corner or somebody else kind of trying to figure that out. Earlier on in the game, our defensive rebounding was fucking horrible and so frustrating. But those kind of final possessions when you're so worried about Matty Pills and Kevin Durant, as Chris says, so much so that like I understand why the defensive rebound lapses occurred. So all that to say, I'm more worried about the offense.
Yeah, what about the offense though?
Well, I mean, this just happens time and time again throughout the game. But I mean, overall, our half-court offense kind of stutters. But we do get these good sets. And then Freddie Freddie or Pascal or Gary, they get the mind to go and do their own thing. And we fall out of what makes us an effective offense, which is like penetration, kick, swing, penetration, or setting up Pascal or Scotty in the right place to score. Eric said in the broadcast, like Freddie's earned that right to take that shot late in the fourth when he took a 3 with like 18 seconds left in the shot clock. And like, yeah, that's true. I'll give it to him. But then the running the same play for the buzzer beater, like we need something better than that.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll ask you the same question. Do you agree that it's the offense that was of more concern at the end of the game or the defense? And the rebound?
Yeah, I'd say the offense as well. I'd like to see, I mean, we talked about this the other night. It was a similar situation. I'm just blanking on the game. I don't know if, last possession of the game, you need a single bucket. It's going to be an ISO where they spread the floor. I don't know if Fred's the guy you should go with there. And I know he's the best player in this team. I know he's the guy in the locker room, but I really would like to see, Scotty or Pascal or even Gary Trent take that last shot in regular time. And there were a couple shots down the stretch in overtime I didn't love from Fred either. So that being said, I think this is still a moral victory for the Raptors. I know it's tough. Like I'm reading the title of this this broadcast.
Really? Tell me why. Tell me why.
I don't know about moral.
Okay, let's be fair. And you guys know me, I'm typically more negative than the average person, but like
no, you're a shining rainbow, my friend.
The Raptors are missing OG, they're missing Kem.
Yeah, but the Nets are missing way more people.
The roster.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, that's a good point. And to be fair, like one of the Nets players who was in the game was Kevin Durant, and he's one of, if not the single best player in the world. It's no shame to lose to him.
I get that. I do get that, and I kind of came into the game with the same approach. Like, if Kevin Durant's going to drop 60 on us, what are you going to do? That some nights he has it, and you just have to take the L. But the execution at the end of the game, which is why I wanted to start on this topic, just drove me crazy because it really didn't matter who was on the other side of the court. It was just mistakes that the Raptors were making. So, like, let's talk about Fred VanVleet. That three he took, like, I don't love the decision considering you probably should kill clock, but I also agree that he's earned the right to take it. But for me, like, what's worse was his decision making after that, because there has to be a point where, I mean, I think like something that is really hard to learn is like balancing aggression with playmaking as a point guard. And Fred's always been like more aggressive than playmaker. But after he missed that shot, I don't think it should have been Fred again and again and again.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, give each guy an opportunity, and Fred deserved that opportunity, fine. But then once he missed it, maybe give someone else a look at the end of the game. And then in overtime, maybe give some other guys some looks. Like, Scotty obviously had it going in the fourth quarter, and then he basically doesn't touch the ball in overtime and at the end of the game. And this has been kind of consistent this season, is like the late game offense just comes to like this stall. And it's funny because we complained so much last season about Siakam like having all these like last minute shots go in and out of the bucket. At least with Siakam, I could live with the process. You know, it's a clean look. He gets to his spot. He rises up. Bam. With Fred, we've seen twice now. Also, I think it was the OKC game.
Yeah, that was the one. I was searching for it.
We see twice where he like kind of drives in the lane and doesn't even get a shot off at the end of the game. And Nick was asked about this recently, and it's like, we know what Fred is. He's not going to be your savior at the end of the game. So I was really frustrated with how the Raptors, just the decision making to close out that game, because I feel like they're in this weird place where they have all these players who can hit shots, but like there's no hierarchy right now, right?
Yeah, well, and I was gonna say that like before this game kind of went to shit towards the end, which is that like the hierarchy, or maybe not the hierarchy, but the roles and responsibilities were kind of like like coming to fruition, I guess. You know, like you had Pascal carrying in the first, you had Fred carrying in the third, you had these intermittent moments with Gary and Scotty, and you know, you had Boucher kind of like doing his thing a little bit, and it just kind of seemed like, at least with our starters, our bench is another topic.
We'll get to it.
I mean, maybe our starters plus Utah, because I really think Utah had a good game. Like it kind of felt like you could see what this team is about if we figure out how to share the ball and how to find the right guy at the right time. You know, like Siakam had it going, and then let's see, second half, you know, he had eight attempts. He was 5 for 8. So it's like, you know, like he was cooking in the first quarter and we go away from him. And fair enough, Fred was having a heater of a third quarter, but like in the fourth quarter, we got to find Siakam and set him up for success, you know?
We do a bad job of that in general, is like riding the hot hand, rewarding guys for good play. Like that's an option that a lot of good teams take, especially teams in which there's no true alpha guy, take advantage of, like, you know, this is a committee. Like there are scorers by committee. There are, you know, playmakers by committee. Good teams take advantage of that. The Raptors do a very poor job of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They don't go to guys who have it going. Like Trent will often be found in a situation where he has it going and then he won't see the ball for a while, and then they'll kind of ask him to go again. But it's hard to the way they're structuring the team. It's really hard to balance all of these guys who, you know, you're giving the freedom to shoot, but you also have to create this hierarchy. And right now, like it's not established to the place where it kind of has to be eventually. And I get like the long-term upside of giving guys freedom to kind of take their shots when they're in rhythm and all that. But the end of this game was a good example of why that's not necessarily always good to give freedom to players.
It makes me think about Freddie's comments at the beginning of the year when he talked about how Lowry's presence made him and Pascal kind of rethink their shot selection. It's like, you've got like Godfather Kyle like looking over your shoulder. And while that can be a negative thing, like maybe you're not making the immediate decision instinctively, it can have this positive effect where it's like, yo, chill out, like give the ball to Papa Kyle and like let's figure this out, and I don't think we don't have that, and I think that is because we're leading by committee right now. We have a guy who's we have a couple of guys whose go-to scorers. Gary's our most like intense guy, maybe, or like the guy with the hardest edge. So there's no clear leadership roles. I think that hurts.
The beauty of Kyle was that like he was the best player in the team and never really needed like the late game heroic shot to satisfy himself.
Yeah,
there are guys who are good playmakers with the ball, and there are guys who are good playmakers in all aspects of basketball. And Kyle was that. Like it was like, I'm not going to be the one to take the final shot. Even with early years, it'd be DeMar. Like last year, it was Siakam. Like that's the type of leadership that takes your team to another level. And I'm not saying Fred's a bad leader, because I think Fred probably fancies himself more of a scorer than Kyle did. But it'd be nice to see him deferring a little more down the stretch.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because especially you look at like the way Kyle got guys involved, like he was so unselfish that sometimes it would be like Bismack Biyombo or Serge Ibaka getting a dunk with 30 seconds left in the game, or Serge hitting a pick and pop two at the like. Kyle just wanted to create a good shot. He literally didn't care who was taking it. He had trust in the four other guys out there. And on that team on this team, I think there isn't the same amount of maybe offensive trust, where it's much more your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And that's definitely what it was at the end of the game. And like, I want to address this comment, and kind of, Kyle, you had the same sentiment that it's like a good development loss. Like I really can't get there. I think this is like a pretty shitty loss, like against such a banged up team, and the starters have no excuse because they hardly played last night, and the rebounding has no excuse either, because Adon, as you pointed out in the chat, you said the Nets had 1 rebound in the third quarter.
I think it might have been 5. I might have misread my notes, but either way, like that's not a lot.
Yeah, either way, it shows that it's not a personnel thing, right? It shows that it's an effort, and it's like it's a focus thing. Sure, there are personnel aspects, but the Raptors have just played way bigger teams like the Knicks and played on the boards way better than they just did against the Nets. So it's not a personnel thing. It's like an effort thing, and it's an awareness thing. And 60-41 on the boards at the end of the game, like, no wonder you lost. Of course you're gonna fucking lose. Kyle, I'll go to you on the rebounding front. What did you see?
Yeah, so my thought, I have it written here. My thought was, first of all, I think the Durant gravity issue provided a lot of like, general defensive rebounding problems. Like he's just such a dominant scorer. He demands so much attention that
they doubled him a lot, so that definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, so and they're collapsing a whole side of the floor. But yeah, I agree with you. Okay, Day'Ron Sharpe and Nicholas Claxton, those guys are just working harder than the Raptors bigs. Like Day'Ron Sharpe, and I don't really.
He's hard to move, though. To be fair.
Say that again, sir.
He's hard to move.
No, that's what I was going to say. Like he's the type of player that is going to be basically like a nothing on a losing team and an integral piece on a championship team one day. Like he's such a ball of energy, and he's so strong. Like that's the type of guy that really takes good teams to the next level. And I'm not talking about right now, but eventually. He and Claxton just outwork the Raptors, and it's kind of shameful. So maybe you're right. Maybe this is a bad loss.
And David Duke Jr. with 6 offensive rebounds.
One of the worst names. Such an unfortunate name.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, the one who shall not be named is like Voldemort.
Not that plus minus is everything. Boucher did lead the team plus minus.
I thought his D was good tonight, actually.
Yeah,
the rebounding wasn't. The rebounding was bad by him tonight, but I thought his defense in the pick and roll, I thought he had some really good blocks. He did mess up that rotation on Patty Mills for that 3. So it's not like it's Boucher. It's not going to be a perfect game, but yeah, I thought his D was like good in respect to the way Boucher has been playing recently. If we're done on the rebounding front, let me know.
I just want a quick straw poll. Thumbs up or down for Boucher's tech?
I'm okay with it. Whatever.
It felt like I said in the chat, like it's so self-destructive, and I really believe like he has such good runs of play followed by just like the dumbest thing you've ever seen on a basketball court. Like
It was dumb.
He's like, okay, that's good. One thing,
That part's dumb.
this
Yeah.
the second yell is so stupid.
Yeah.
The Raptors are in the middle of a run. I like him contesting the shot of the rim, even though it's after the whistle. I don't care. I think that's cool. I think that's like a hard thing to do, but he goes way too far here.
I agree. I'd probably give it a thumbs down, but I get that what you're saying in terms of they came out this game really flat, and so anyone giving them energy, you kind of respect it. But it's also 1 point in games like this, they matter. But I do want to get to the bench because like it was just yesterday we were on here and I was talking mad shit about the bench and people were like,
we should know better, the fucking Kings.
Be more optimistic. Yeah, and I was like, well, they got to show it again. But we were also on here saying like the Raptors trick us, and like some days they play really, really well, and then some days they just have no effort. And like every game, and even today it was like first 2 quarters, third quarter Raptors, fourth quarter overtime Raptors. Like there was 3 different iterations of the Raptors today. But yeah, let's talk about the bench because they kind of fell right back to earth today, and like one of the worst games I've seen from them again all season. Svi, I don't know what you're doing, Svi. Malachi, nothing. Champagny, he had 3 offensive rebounds. He also missed 4 wide open threes.
Yeah, those threes were tough.
Utah 1 for 5 from 3. Utah played his normal, regular, good defense and like 3 blocks. Like Utah is the one guy who I'm not mad at, but you can't play 6 guys.
But
yeah, you just can't play 6 guys and expect to win on the second night of a back-to-back. So, Adon, take it where you want, either the bench or just like the inconsistency of the Raptors.
I'll go with the bench. I'm gonna single out Flynn. I just think that like the game against Sacramento, I honestly could care less about his 14 points or whatever because it's the way in which he scored, and it's like when he doesn't hit those shots, it looks so bad, and he's just like talking about the right role and like the a tit for tat, like who has the ball. Like Flynn's the maestro of that, or like that's like how he operates, right? It's like get mine, get mine, get mine, and like whoever posted like without Banton we kind of suffer. It's true. Like we don't really have the guy that's like play making, right? Like I'm like that as a player. Like I need somebody who knows how to break down their guy and knows how to pass the ball. Otherwise I'm useless. And like, nobody on the bench does that effectively. Banton kind of does, but he's not that great in a breakdown. Flynn could be, but he doesn't. He just chooses to like operate in the pick and roll, get his jumpers, and that's it. And
yeah, Flynn will break someone down and then pull it back for a step back three.
Yeah, that's it. And like there is a time when we need that, but if you want to be the 7th guy off the bench, like you got to show something. But I will give props to the Champagny, man. That guy's rebounding, like he has a rebounding talent. There's some guys in the league that kind of just sniff out balls better than most. And it has nothing to do with size and a little bit to do with athleticism, but he finds balls, man. It's awesome to watch.
He does, but at the same time, when you get to like playoffs and stuff, like not to be harsh on him because he's an undrafted 2-way guy, but and I get what you're saying, but if you go 0-5 from looks that were that good, you just can't be played. Yeah, you just can't be played. So he has to obviously figure out that part of his game. Kyle, I'll go to you about either again the bench or just what's making the Raptors so inconsistent.
Yeah, I think with the bench, it's like they're such like they're kind of like front runners. They have a bunch of guys who are really good at when the defense is already in rotation, making like one extra pass or like a nice cut, a nice duck in. Like a bunch of guys who are smart basketball players who work really well when a defense is already broken down and do absolutely nothing against a stagnant defense. And so that's why you see nights like last night against Sacramento, where it's like every single Raptors player is driving by their man, and the bench is plus like 100 or whatever they were. Like, they were going crazy for that exact reason, because they are so good against a broken down defense because they're all decent enough playmakers, but there's no alpha really good playmaker. And I think we keep showing this Utah clip. I was really impressed with his playmaking last night. I remain impressed with his playmaking tonight. I really hope he gets more opportunities.
Yeah. I that's a good point, Kyle. I wanted to say that too. Like, it's easy to look good when teams miss shots or there's turnovers. Like, and in this game, that happened in the third. Like, Brooklyn kind of lost their effort and started missing shots. And when we get out on the break, we are so deadly, and the bench looks really good. But yeah, again, when it starts to slog, and we're not finding the right guy to start breaking down a defense, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I thought the offense today in general, both the bench and the starters, it was a lot more ISO than we're used to, and especially a lot more ISO than we saw last night. And that was kind of why I was so optimistic last night, because it felt like, okay, like their offensive chemistry is really coming along. They're moving the ball so well and all these things. And then we just did not see it tonight against a Brooklyn team who, it's not like they have a bunch of defenders. The Raptors scored 129 points. So it was clearly like, oh, I could score on this guy. And I think Fred was guilty of this at the end of the game. Like, oh, I got Blake Griffin in front of me. I could take Blake Griffin, and he can take Blake Griffin. But what are you getting out of taking Blake Griffin? A contested shot in the lane, right? It's like, maybe let's like run a pick and roll and swing the ball to the corner, or like actually move the ball rather than just ISOing a guy because you think you have a good matchup. And like, it's interesting. I remember Nurse just talked about this recently, like saying how the easiest, most simple thing you can do at the end of the games is give a guy an ISO, because that reduces the risk of a turnover. And turnovers at the end of games are obviously like worst case scenario. And so I get that, but there just has to be a better balance than there was today of ISO versus, all right, let's run a play now, right?
I agree.
So,
I want to say, like, this is kind of cliched, but you are who you are when you face adversity, not when you're like hanging out against the Kings, right? So like it's fine to be this ball moving egalitarian team against a Sacramento Kings team who are just plain bad, and you're absolutely destroying them. The Raptors need to get to that point, either mentally or whatever it is, where they're committed to moving the ball, swinging the ball, actually getting into sets against good teams when they're down, because it feels like anytime there's face serious adversity, it's your turn, my turn.
Yeah, but then you look at the third quarter of what the Raptors did today, and they played really well. So it's like, I'm not even ready to say it's against the team thing. I think it's more so like a 48-minute thing, and just like they win a couple games, they feel good about themselves. They're going into an injured Brooklyn. They take their foot off the pedal, and they don't have enough skill to take their foot off the pedal. That's what it feels like to me a lot this season. Like, oh, we feel good, we won a couple games, and then it's like they lay an egg, you know?
Well, we see that in like there's microcosms of that in games, like the OKC and New York games. Like, they're in control, they stop like taking it seriously, and it falls apart because there is no margin of error.
Yeah. Okay. I want to move on to some more positives, or maybe at least a positive in Mr. Scotty Barnes. I mean, the shot he hit over KD for the step back corner three was crazy. First of all, just nuts. But I think overall, he's just been playing better and better recently. Defensively, like, if you watch the game film from this game and then you watch it from the first time the Raptors played the Nets, like he's like a different defender. Like, he stayed in front of KD so well tonight.
Much better than before.
Exactly. Like, so much better. And of course, they were still sending doubles and all that stuff. But Scotty, as a defender on KD, you know, forcing him to go 12 for 29 for KD, that's like an off night.
Yeah.
And so I just think, yeah, like, what stood out to you guys? I'll go to Kyle first. What stood out to you about Barnes, or are you just kind of used to seeing what he did tonight by now?
No, I think whatever, used to it, but this is a bigger stage, and I'm impressed that he came to play second night of a back-to-back in Brooklyn against. Again, I'll say it. I think Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA. I know that whatever, we can debate this another time, but against who I think is the best player in the NBA. And yeah, it feels like a lot of the time in Scotty's entire life, because he's been such an athletic freak, it feels like he got to the NBA and was really content with letting guys beat him off the dribble, because he would always rely on basically catching up to people because he's so long and quick, and so quick off the ground. And not that he wasn't necessarily trying, he was just defending people differently. And now he's really adapted to the NBA style of ISO defending. He's really up on guys, and he's not allowing any dribble penetration, which is like, this is the guy that was touted at the draft, the infamous RR draft party, which we'd have to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adon, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys all saw it. It's just like, I would say my complaint, like, Scotty's incredible. That, like, this is just so friggin' exciting. The one play where he gets the rebound at the top of the key, and then like sprints literally backwards to the three, turns around and shoots it. Like, that's hysterical, and well beyond what we expect of him. Like, a guy like that normally you'd think would grab it and immediately drive. So he's not only expanding his game, but he's exploring his game, right? Like, he's trying to find like this step back is something we've never seen from him. Similarly, on the other side against Kevin Durant. The one thing I will say is he had one shot in the first half. So I don't know.
I want to talk about this.
He did have 2 fouls early.
I'll just ask you, whose fault is that?
Well, that's the question. I mean, I've said this all year that it's Nurse's fault. They ran a horns play for him where they inverted it, and Scotty was on the elbow. Pascal was up top, and Pascal and Freddie do something, and they give to Scotty, and Scotty immediately, that was I think it was his only bucket. Or no, he got fouled on the play. And it's just like, why are we not running that all the time, dude? I don't get it. Yeah.
I get that, but I think it's Scotty's fault. I lean Scotty's fault, because when we watch these highlights that we're watching right now, what are most of them? They're him ISOing or posting up a dude, broken possessions or end of the clock, and he's just going for it. So you can only kind of wonder, well, why don't you do that more? Because everything we've heard from the coaching staff and from the star players is, we want him to be aggressive. We want him to shoot threes. We want him to take more shots, look at the rim more. So, like, I blame Scotty for the fact that he had one shot, and that he, like, it's definitely a more complicated situation than that, because in general, this team should probably run more plays. And like, I do like the looks they get out of Horns when they run it. And yeah, when a guy's hot, they should probably run a play for him. But in general, like, it's funny. My friend was texting me during this game, like, getting so mad at Fred taking all these late game shots, and he's like, Trent has to be the one to take the shots. And like, I'm pretty cool about it, like, relatively, because I'm like, you know what? Next season, or by the season after that, Barnes is taking these shots, so I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's the late game option of the future. So I want to see him be more aggressive, I guess, is what I have to say.
I think, sorry, Kyle, I just want to quickly rebut and say that, I think actually that argument suggests it's Nurse's fault, because like Alexander's comment is like, Scotty's looking to move the ball for others, right? And the only time he was scoring is in these broken plays, or in the count when the shot clock's forcing him to make a play. So that's kind of suggesting he's only getting these opportunities in those moments, as opposed to a play is drawn up for him vis-a-vis Nurse shouts something out, the elbow and the horns, it's like, go get yours, right? And it's like, it's kind of, and that's what you need to do with a rookie sometimes, especially a guy like him who is not a killer instinct offensively kind of guy. You've got to like put him in the position to go and get his own. Okay, Kyle, sorry.
I get that, but I would just say that he has to work within the confines of what the offense is. True. You know,
I gotta say, like, and this is the most toxic answer available. Like, is it is it not Nurse, not Scotty? Is it the other guys on the floor? Because we preach, like, we give Nurse praise for being this guy who's like, yeah. Are you pinning comments over there? They're better not be you
Obviously.
pinning your own phrase comments. No, we give Nurse praise as being this guy who's like, gives the players the ultimate freedom and lets them do their own thing. And what they're doing is excluding the rookie Scotty, who's arguably the best player on the team. And again, it's so hard for me to be like, Kyle would do this. Kyle meaning Kyle Lowry, not myself, would do this. Kyle would do that. But
You don't talk in the third person?
no, I don't. But like, I don't think any Raptors fans would really argue with me. And I say, like, if Kyle was on this team, he'd be finding Scotty and not just getting him the ball, like, in pick and roll, etc. Like, he'd be ensuring that Scotty had possessions. And I don't think there's any of the other starters are really ensuring that Scotty has possessions, whether it be a ball handler at horns, whether it be, high post running splits off of him. There's none of that.
Yeah, I agree with you with Kyle, and I would say that I could see Scotty playing that Ibaka role with Kyle on the right side.
Yeah, I think you guys raise really good points, and so I think we just gotta agree that it's a little bit of everyone's fault. It's a little bit on the team. It's a little bit on Nurse for not running such a dynamic offense, but it is also, because I get to end on my point, it is also on Scotty, because everything you hear about him is that he's this unselfish player to a fault. So I would recommend people to listen to the low post that he recently did with Mike Schmitz, who's a guy at ESPN Draft Guy, and he said, like, they were doing this drill with Scotty where they were like, envision yourself scoring 50 in a game, and then tell
25.
us 25, and then tell us what spots are you getting to score 25. And he asked to assist count. So that just like shows you where his mindset is at. And I see that mindset a lot on the floor. And so, yes, it's the other guy's fault, but it's also his fault for not looking at the rim as much as he should, knowing now what we know about him as a scorer.
Yeah, but he's 20, like that's
Yeah.
why the mentorship and the leadership of a coach, there's like, anyway.
Yeah. That's true. But at the end of the day, it's on the player to do the thing. Either way, Scotty Barnes is our Can-Am Taxman of the night. He deserves it. He finished with a line of 23 points, 12 rebounds, including 7 offensive rebounds, 8 free throws, 5 assists. No steals or blocks, but it felt like there was a block in there. But anyways,
Yeah, they gave it to you.
Barnes. Okay, Scotty Barnes, our Taxman of the night. Visit canamtax.com for all of your tax needs. Tax season's obviously coming up, and in a year where the government spends a lot of money because of COVID, you could get some of that money right back into your pocket. So pay the good people at Can-Am Tax to do your taxes, and you will be glad that you did. Scotty Barnes, Can-Am Taxman of the night. All right, let's get into some film because we're not going to stay too long tonight. Is this from tonight? Oh yeah, best player on the planet was added in Brooklyn. Good.
Oh, this
Skip Bayless sucks.
Yeah, Skip Bayless does fucking suck.
Do you watch Jason Concepcion do like the lizard Skip Bayless? I'll pull it up if not.
No.
Okay. Anyways, let's get
Concepcion's laugh gets me going every time though.
Yeah, let me just actually pull it up because it's so good.
How do you get on Twitter so fast? Like I swear to God, like we know how long it's been like a half hour. How do you get on Twitter so quickly?
Steve Kerr was on a pod with somebody and he was saying like guys are on their phones like during halftime.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, people definitely go on as soon as the game ends. They're definitely straight to there. Anyways,
the snake.
Yeah, I can't find it right now. I'll look for it, but let's get to some film breakdown. And whoever's it is, just go ahead and lead us off.
I think this was both Adon and I. You can take it, Adon.
No, you go for it, man.
Just a good pass. I don't know what else to say. Just a beautiful pass from Utah, being like that playmaker off the bench. First of all, it's an intelligent cut and it's an intelligent pass. But this is sort of what we were talking about, is that like bunch of guys who are really good when the defense breaks down. Their defense is completely collapsed. And Utah knows how to cut and pass, but really nobody can break the defense down. So that's why it's so valuable to have either a starter out there, and Scotty is out there, but a starter out there or a bench guy who can break defenses down.
And like, this is why I'm still a defender of Svi. Like, he's the only guy that really does this on any sort of like regular occasion, where off of a triple threat, a rip and go or whatever, he's the guy that can get to the tin. He often doesn't make the right move, or he finishes thunderously, but like, this is a nice pass by him.
Yeah,
well.
before we get to the rest of our film breakdown, let's just break down this quick clip of Jason Concepcion doing Skip Bayless as a lizard.
Do you want to be a pro or not?
Can't wait for tomorrow's Undisputed. Do your shit and talk about his favorite target and scapegoat on the Lakers, Kuzma.
All right, just good stuff. Anyways, let's go back to film breakdown.
Well, let's shout out Danny first, though.
Oh yeah, thanks, Danny. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Danny.
Scotty, absolute diamond we've got. What a fun game. Not even mad about the loss. Brooklyn Fringe player stepped up.
See, Danny's
fair
on
enough.
my side. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
like
he is.
sometimes you guys are so negative on here. Please.
Yeah.
Oren's always in the private chat saying people like positives. Listen, I'm trying to give the people what they like. I don't know what to say.
People like wins too, though. You know,
I'm fine. I don't.
It's another one of those games where it's like, why did we not win this? Why?
Yeah, too many of those this season. Too many of those.
Thanks, Danny.
Anyway, yeah, thanks, Danny. Let's move on to the next clip. I don't even think I sent it.
Oh, this was me. Yeah. So basically, I really wanted to illustrate like this is what the Raptors defense looks like when it's really working, where literally everyone is moving around, every shot's contested, etc.
And then Svi messes it all up.
Messes up. But look at this whole possession from the start. Contain the entire time. Everyone's there to help. Scotty helps down, X's out to the corner. It's perfect.
Boucher with a great closeout.
Yeah, but it does illustrate just how tenuous a defense like this is when you're flying around everywhere, because you need every single guy to be on all the time. And you have Svi who isn't on, and the whole possession is basically ruined.
Yeah, I think this is actually why I'm so frustrated tonight, is because they played a lot of this defense tonight. Like, there was so many of these possessions that we could have picked out and shown crisp rotations again and again and again. And then 24 seconds, someone hoists up a terrible shot like KD did at the last possession, and then, offensive rebound. You know, it's like, it's even more infuriating when you know that they can play this defense, but then either a guy like Svi reaches in for no reason and ruins 20 seconds of defense, or you give up an offensive rebound. So
I will also say, like, Flynn's ISO defense has been a lot better in the last couple of games.
I want to get on Svi here a little bit. I want to get Svi on here a little bit. Like, he knows where his rotation is, and he's basically hanging out around the nail ball watching. Like, it's at the end of this clip. If you watch him, he rotates from the wing here. He sees where his next rotation is. He identifies it, looks at it, and goes like, "Oh, late getting there."
Just a bad closeout.
I couldn't be more out on Svi. Anyways, next one. It's just, if he doesn't hit his shots, he's adding nothing.
This is mine. This is the one play, the play I was talking about, where it's just like a really simple horn set, and it's just like Scotty can literally. That's Brooklyn's center that Scotty walks down. And then he does that like kind of hit shot or whatever on both sides. And when I see it, I'm like, that doesn't really look like a good kind of shot. But it's almost become his signature shot. He can hit it basically anywhere on either side of his body. And so I don't get why we're not doing this often. Like, it takes a very specific type of player to stop Scotty from getting to the spot he wants to and getting that kind of shot he wants.
Yeah, his touch is incredible.
It really is.
It doesn't really matter.
One of the things that makes Steph Curry such a good player is that he's an excellent screener as a guard. And I think Fred's kind of getting there as like a guard screener. And it's partially because they can't leave him wide open. They can't basically cheat off the screen because he's such a good shooter. But that's a pretty hard screen on Blake Griffin. He like effectively causes a switch. I mean, you got to give Fred credit here. That's a good screen.
For sure. I think that's a big reason Kyle and Fred worked. It's because both of them can set screens better than normal 6-foot guards. But yeah, that is a good screen.
That's it. What was
This
it?
is just a good Boucher sequence, and I think even before this sequence, he had just hit or blocked another shot. So yeah, when they went on that run in the third quarter, Boucher he played really well. I just
This is
wanted
also,
yeah.
I think it was after his tech, which is kind of like why I'm okay with it. Is like it clearly got him fired up and engaged, which is like you can't always say that about Boucher.
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to highlight the clip is because tonight was one of those games where he was pretty locked in and engaged, especially as a rim protector. Like, I don't know how many games he's had 2 blocks this season. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like his first or second. So that was good, but he did kind of blow it in the end of the game with a couple bad decisions. So don't want to focus too much on him.
What a pass too! I got to give credit to Yuta for like I don't even know what he's originally faking here, but he throws like basically a no look. I don't know what
Oh yeah,
like KD's falling for a fake that's like impossible. Like Yuta's faking the ball to Steve Nash on the sidelines, and KD falls for it. Yeah,
Freddie had one of those too to Pascal. That was pretty nice.
All right, next one, or are we done?
I think we're gonna go to questions.
Okay, do you have to go, Adon?
I'll stick around
5
for
more
a question
minutes?
or two because I love them.
Okay, why
And then I gotta go
why
hoop.
don't you answer this one then? Scott, do you view Scotty Barnes in a Kawhi type of mold or where he can get his shot off over the defender? Because I don't get the Giannis comparisons.
Giannis. I actually don't think they're either.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it depends is the answer. Like Giannis is too much of an athletic like phenomenon. Like his length and strength and agility. And Scotty's got a little bit more of the ISO Kawhi game, but he doesn't. He's at least right now he doesn't have the tight footwork, tight handles, tight jumper, and quick jumper that Kawhi developed. Like Kawhi shoots a dart essentially, from the mid range. So
can I offer up someone?
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen. He was a creator, a tall creator with an ISO game. I think Scottie Pippen is the guy. Like the best case scenario guy.
Yeah, I like that. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's a good one. You know who is actually a funny comp? Is Siakam. I see a lot of Siakam's game in Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
I want to actually twice the playmaker.
That's going to make a lot of fans like upset.
Yeah, he's already twice.
Why? I mean,
I'm not like half of the Raptors fans hate Siakam. So
right. Okay. Yeah. I want to show the Siakam poster, but I don't know. I see he has a little spin in his game. He has a lot of those herky-jerky finishes. Yeah. Some footwork in the post. The transition game is similar.
Siakam had a really good game, man.
Siakam had a really good game. Yeah. And this dunk on KD was that was another frustrating thing. Like they didn't go to Siakam at all at the end of the game.
I know.
He had a really good game. And this dunk on KD deserves a lot of love. Like if this was like KD on Siakam, this would be played on all of the highlight reels. So I'm sure it'll still get played a little bit.
Yeah, people hate KD enough that this is going to make the rounds big time.
Yeah, but more importantly, KD doesn't like Skip Bayless, and we know that now.
Yeah,
he
now I'm on KD's side. Whatever happens.
Man. Oh, I was on KD's side long before this, but
I mean, I don't like his Twitter presence until that tweet.
Okay, he has some other gems, but he definitely does too much sometimes.
Can we do the Connor BH because I feel like that's
sure. Go ahead. Yeah, this is for you. This is for you, Kyle, and then we're gonna wrap up. So how do you?
I want Aiden. I want Aiden to answer it. It feels like such a you.
Okay. How did you guys feel about this sports broadcast?
I loved both of them, and I'm very critical of analysts. I think first of all, this isn't typically their role, right? Does Amy do 905 games?
Yeah, she did last year, and now she's on the Sportsnet broadcast as a sideline reporter.
She has like a calmness to her, like when she's describing things, like her cadence is on, her knowledge is high. Like the banter's not bad. I mean, like Eric's kind of but
I thought Amy was carrying a lot because Eric was not coloring as much as you would expect.
Yeah, I think Guru makes a good point here. Like he sounded kind of like a baseball broadcaster a little bit. Yeah, she definitely. You could tell she played. Like, yeah,
They all played.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, I know, but but there's like a different kind of knowledge you get from a player. Like
Yeah.
Leo played in the 40s, so who the fuck cares what he thinks, right? Like
That's true.
she's a little bit more contemporary. So I was a big fan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had a tough job too because they were in Toronto.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You
I
can see they were
really
in a
like Amy.
studio.
I thought Amy did a great job. Eric is
Oh,
kind of
no,
like
good.
Eric's like a bit of like an NPC. Like he's kind of boring a little bit. I don't know like how much personality
Just
Eric
like
has.
it was a bot for the
Yeah,
game.
he's a bit of a bot, but I thought Amy was excellent, and
I
they
was
did have
confused.
good chemistry.
Yeah, I was a little confused because especially at the start, it was just like long stretches of silence, and you're just not used to that
I
from
know
like
there was.
the
Yo, let's
Raptors broadcast.
Can we get Chris in here because he has his 2 cents on these two?
Chris, would you like to
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
producer
just-
Chris in the building.
Hey guys, I just thought that like Amy's X's and O's really impressed me. Like, I think with her, like you see it in her sideline reporting too. Like she does have a tendency to like stumble over her words a little bit sometimes, but I think that's just like a function of it not being like a supernatural thing for her to just be like talking constantly all the time, like it is for some people, even on this stream perhaps. But I thought, yeah, her knowledge was super good. Like she was breaking down plays at times and like, yeah, like when, and you know, Jack does that sometimes, but not super often. And I thought that like, that's like a nice element to add to the broadcast.
No one stumbles over their words more than Alvin Williams.
That's for sure true. But you know what both of those people have in common is it's their first year doing the broadcast. So
Yeah.
I think it's a nerve thing. And I would expect
I think so
it
for
to get
Alvin
better.
for sure. I gotta go hoop. Bingo.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up, but
See you
thanks to okay, see you, Adon. Thank you to all the viewers who tuned in for tonight. The Raptors obviously lost this one. 131-129 to the Brooklyn Nets in a disappointing game. Their game Thursday against the Chicago Bulls has been delayed due to the Bulls having 10 different players in health and safety protocols. The NBA is in a pretty weird situation right now. I don't know if you want to touch on this, Kyle, but tons of people are in health and safety. A few
weeks.
teams,
Take 2 weeks off. Why not?
yeah. I mean, the NBA is gonna have to look at themselves in the mirror here and make a decision about if they want to just continue rolling, because if they continue rolling like they are right now, it's only a matter of time with this variant before too many teams can't play, and then they're gonna be in an even worse situation. So yeah, it'll be interesting to monitor what the NBA does, because the Raptors don't play again until Saturday. And to be honest, if the NBA is still running by Saturday, I would be a little bit surprised. But if it is, the Raptors will host the Golden State Warriors in a great game. Just try to get tickets to that one. I bet they'll be expensive. In Toronto. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. There's not much to say about the COVID situation. It is what it is. It sucks. You know, it's a reminder that it's not over and that this variant is very real, even if you're vaccinated, and that people gotta be safe, and the NBA has to be safe. And yeah, we might have to take a little pause on life before getting back to it. And if that happens, that sucks, but I guess it is what it is. Anyways, that's enough Science Hour. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back Saturday night, I hope, but I cannot guarantee. Good night.